After owning a Fisker Ocean One for just under 6 months, I now have officially gotten rid of my car. Watch the rest of this video to see my version of my experience hands-on with the car, my experience with the Fisker company, my thoughts on the car after driving it over 5,000 miles, and why it was the shortest owned, most irritating vehicle of any car I have ever had. Hi everyone, before I get into it, there are plenty of people that are happy with this car, and that is completely fine. There are also plenty of people that are very unhappy with this car. So this video should serve only as my take and nothing more. And since it's also my take reflected upon my experience, my opinion of the experience and valuation of the car is mine alone. There is no sinister plot behind the scenes to impact share prices or manifested sentiment, or even ways for someone to tell me that my feeling in the experience is invalid. It happened, so it's valid. Plain and simple. And contrary to what some people might say, the version of the car does not matter. The car was delivered in any form that I got it, in any form that I reflect upon, because me as the consumer bought the car. Regardless of the form that it's in, the version of the software, it was delivered this way. Just under 6 months before I decided to dump my Fisker Ocean One, I made a few videos both bitching about and praising Fisker for the new Ocean that arrived at my house. At the time, I called out a handful of issues that I saw with my car within the first 24 hours, such as being dirty, the key fob not working, some main console connectivity issues. My other videos were simple overviews of the car, a couple troubleshooting tips for people facing the same issues I had, like a console reset, which you end up doing a lot in this car, and using NFC to get into the car when the key fob stops working. Yours will stop working. There is no way around this right now. At the time, I went through Fisker's chat and email to ask service for help. Both issues called out in the videos and others quickly identified, like a missing hitch, broken functions, stuff like that. A couple cases were open and the rad giver promised someone would be reaching out. I reached out to my salesman via text and email, sure he could get help or help get things fixed or escalated. He ignored it. That wasn't a surprise. He was fun to deal with anyway. A few weeks went by and no one was really reaching out. So I got a survey asking me how my delivery went. If you've seen my video, I laughed about this and said it was shit. I got a phone call from Fisker really soon after that. This is all within the first month of ownership. That call led to more cases being opened. He was checking in on the service or the delivery and all that kind of stuff. At that time, I had identified more issues with my car, like braking issues, console issues, cruise control issues, completely broken and missing sensors and cameras. I was told my issues would be escalated for remedy ASAP. I had started recording a suite of other videos. I was testing Ocean's usable range on road trips, charging speeds, general comfort, etc. But as I noticed Fisker had stopped responding to me and those escalated cases were actually going nowhere, I held off on making anything else, hoping to not sucker someone else into buying one of these, at least until I found out more info. 3 months after my car delivery, my temporary tags were expiring. I still didn't have registration for my title, as many others have also experienced. Though the car was paid in full, this prevented me from any secondary sale or trade-in of the vehicle, which I was starting to actually consider. At this point, I had also just taken the car on 2 longer multi-state road trips, identifying even more serious safety issues with brake regen, steering, and monitor blackouts, where the monitor would just shut off, as well as continued safety issues with cruise control failing, causing an instant brake lockup. Anyone I reached out to ignored anything I said or asked, and it wasn't until I mailed a certified letter in early December asking for a refund that I finally got a phone call. Very shortly after my letter to Fisker showed delivery, I sent it to the titling team. My state DMV told me they received the registration info from Fisker basically right after, so they waited until I sent it to actually fulfill it. Additionally, I finally got a phone call from someone that finally helped me get an actual tech booked. That person that called me was great, but it took 3 months to get that. Over the next few weeks, from the end of December to mid-January, about 90 days after owning the car, the service tech came out 3 times and ran updates. They did not have the tools necessary to do any actual significant fixes to the car. They did some blemish removal and stuff like that, but they couldn't really offer any solutions to the issues. I don't fault them though. I think this is kind of a setup with the company and a top-down thing. They did just run updates on the car. As I mentioned earlier, my car never showed up with an accessory receiver, something I did pay for. I've asked for a refund for this since September. I still ask weekly. I don't want it anymore. It's not coming. It just never gets responded to, even though they sent me a "we owe you." As I no longer have this car and that add-on is gone, wait for it, without a hitch. Over my time with the vehicle, here are the issues I reported. I had been locked out of the car entirely as it completely shut down. My lane correction software had pulled me the wrong direction multiple times, basically any time I'd go over the line. Cruise control shut off anytime any bump would be hit. This is mainly on road trips going very high speeds. This would cause the brake regen to basically lock the brakes at 70 to 80 miles per hour. So think about that. You're on the freeway, you're going cruise control, you hit some kind of bump, it immediately would turn the cruise control off and slam on the brake regen. Now I always have my brake regen on high. That would basically, in the far fast lane, cause your car to almost stop. I had to slam on the brakes once and realize the emergency braking should have actually done that for me, but they didn't because they don't work. And there's multiple complaints about this and open investigations for it. Regen braking would cause the car to slide out on wet roads when it should just lightly be slowing down. So you're on a wet road, you let your foot off the accelerator. Where regen braking should come in and help slow down your car, it actually locks the brakes and you end up sliding. Regen braking also stopped braking when a small bump would be hit, causing the car to lunge forward and resume speed during deceleration. This was an earlier thing. I think this may have been fixed with an update, but it was a problem with the released car. Proximity sensors in my car never worked. They never worked. So getting close to things, I could hit things. I ran into garbage cans. I hit the sides of the house. It didn't matter. You couldn't see anything because they never worked. The tech was trying vigorously to get it fixed and was never able to do it. Cameras continually failed. I'd get warnings for it just about every time I'd start the car. Going into reverse, they would just not work. The car rolls backwards on hills. You've seen multiple people talk about this. I think the recent tech reviews have also talked about this. Key fob issues. Tons of them. Everyone has this issue. I don't think there's a way around it. My brakes make noises. They were grindy, they were loud, they were squeaky. My dash fan had a weird creak. Every time I'd get in the car or even just unlock the door, I'd hear this big like winding noise. Maybe I'll just add that in this video if I can. Air vents were also stuck facing one direction. Basically, I couldn't change them. They were aimed right behind my monitor. It's possible that they were actually causing my monitor to overheat, and that's why it would black out and shut off. The driver's side back seat warmers didn't work. Sometimes a window would not roll back up once it was rolled down. Bluetooth continually cut out. Basically, I can't even remember a trip that I would take where Bluetooth stayed connected the entire time. Sometimes auto park wouldn't disengage, even with the seatbelt on, or it would actually engage on its own at low speeds or when I would come to a stop. So basically, you're driving, you come to a stop, auto park decides to turn on, you go to push the accelerator, your car makes this weird lunge thing. And it's kind of a pain in the butt to get it turned off. Even with a simple button that undoes it, it's some kind of weird detection with you sitting on the seat. Lights in my car would constantly turn on when it's supposed to be off. The way you turn this car off is you basically lock it. That's the only function. So when it's sitting in your garage, I would come out sometimes to see the lights on, which I think is responsible for some of the phantom drain you're going to hear about. I would also hear the radio turn on. My Bluetooth would suddenly connect while I'm on my phone on a completely different side of my house, mentioning my car. I would have the heater and air conditioner suddenly kick on. So I basically got in the habit of turning these completely off every time I'd park the car just to help prevent it. My title took 3 months. My registration took 3 months, like I talked about. I had scuffs, scratches, glue, misaligned seals from delivery, and I had constant dash warning failures of different features throughout the ownership of this car. But even then, all of this is just my personal gripe and my personal story. Some buyers out there are happy with their experience and have had no issues when reaching out to Fisker or getting support, especially ones in areas with multiple dedicated techs and service centers. I didn't have that. But let me talk now about why, even outside of these above issues, I actually got rid of this car. Let's talk about the actual car. Starting with the key fob. This key fob is complete garbage, and there's not a single Fisker Ocean owner happy with this fob. It doesn't work properly, it holds the worst charge of any fob I've ever tested or owned, requiring a new battery change every 20 to 30 days, and absolutely doesn't represent what you should find in a $50,000 to $70,000 car. Hell, it doesn't even represent what you'd see in a $15,000 car, brand new. So people now are even sharing issues with the gold connector snapping off, where they change the battery so frequently that it actually breaks the connector pin. It's not good. It's gotta be swapped. I feel like the door handles are fundamentally flawed. Regardless of how good or bad the fob works, these handles have to be activated by some type of trigger, and there's nothing on the exterior of the car to do that, meaning there's no button. Other vehicle makers with flush handle designs have some type of trigger for the door handle to open, like you push your thumb in a certain spot and it opens up. Fisker claims the handles will eventually open by your proximity to the car, and it will also lock as your key, phone, or car moves 7 meters away from the car. Think about that for a second. What would that do to a kid's hand still inside of the door handle while you walk away from the vehicle? Does it still open all 4 of them as you approach? Like all 4 pop out? Or just the driver's side? So the other side's not safe, right? Anyone can get in. I can't see this flying. Like without a button or a trigger for the handle to actually pop out, you, as the owner, will be using the fob or a digital app button to open this door basically forever. The HVAC ventilation directional system is controlled only electronically. While temperatures can be controlled with a physical button, you can't manually adjust a vent easily. In my case, mine were broken the entire time, so I had some facing the wrong way. They also made a loud noise, as I mentioned before, whenever I turn on the car. I never realized and just thought the air was soft, but no, this is a bad design. The phantom drain. There are numerous complaints out there from Fisker owners about the battery draining at about 2 to 6% per night. Mine on average was about 2 to 3% per night, but I did hit a point in January where the car was hardly driven and reached up to 7 to 10% drainage per night. Fisker's own manual and commentary on this says the car should have about 10% phantom drain per month. There were times when I caught the vehicle randomly turning on in the middle of the night, like I mentioned earlier. It would light up, the heater would kick on, music, etc. I started setting the heat to off every time I exited the car, and that seemed to fix the big percentage drains, but multiple updates kept claiming to fix this. Mine never changed from that total though and stayed around 2 to 3 with sometimes a 6% drain. The range goes hand in hand with the phantom drain, but there was a period this winter where I got about 20 total miles on a 60% charge in a 5-day period. So yes, 20 miles, 60% charge. I reported this, it was ignored. This is partly attributed to the heating issue I caught above in my own exploration, though I never had it confirmed because when I would reach out, they just ignored it. Overall, road trips have seen about 180 miles on a 70% charge. Day-to-day driving is sticking to around 0.3 kilowatt hours per mile, which is not bad until you hit, quote, conditions. And that is where the number of kilowatt hours changes to about 0.7 for me. I have seen it get as high as 1.3 kilowatt hours per mile that I had in one range test. And I never even used boost or hyper mode. This is all through fun or basic earth mode driving. Additionally, I had weird inconsistencies in driving the same routes where I'd see the same mileage show completely different results. As a case in point, driving a 3-mile route would vary the actual distance anywhere from 2.7 miles driven, so the car says I've only gone 2.7, to 3.5. Exact same trip. It's 3 miles. 3 miles should be reflected. How is it going from 2.7 to 3.5? The odometers in these cars are going to be way off in the long haul if they don't get that fixed. If you have this car, test this. Just test it. Test it on something that you know is a mile, put it into maps, look at it, do the same route over and over, and you will get inconsistent results. If you're not, it was just a fluke on my car. Now let's talk about the Fisker brand. When you think of a great or even just a good brand, what crosses your mind? Probably something that shows the company has a good product, the brand cares about the customer experience and taking care of their base, or maybe just that the company has a good reputation and is reviewed positively. So what about Fisker? As you can tell, I'm not very happy with this company. This whole video basically highlights that. But posts just a few years ago show false promises and expectations that I kind of feel like roped a lot of people into pre-ordering this car, and it's severely under-delivered in my opinion. To be fair, they did say multiple features may not be available at launch, as you can see here. But it still feels like things such as a solar roof that they kept touting, rear-wheel drive bias car, that's definitely not rear-wheel drive bias in its current form, though that is supposedly coming, and good all-weather handling was already created and functional. I definitely have to disagree about this being the best handling car ever driven. The brand also shared this mission statement a few years ago. It has their mission, their vision, and their culture. And honestly, I can't argue with this. I think this is pretty accurate because the customer is nowhere on it. And speaking of customers, how is their customer base? Am I the lone detractor, the angry person that bought one of these cars? Or are there more like me? Let's take a look. This is Fisker on the Better Business Bureau. Don't be too surprised here. A lot of companies have an F. This company has an F. Now, the main thing about the Better Business Bureau, in my experience in using it, to be mindful of, is that companies on here are given a chance to respond, and they will have two different things. One, they will have a rating, like a ranking of how they rate, how customers see them. Let's look at this here. So you got a 1 out of 5. A lot of companies will have a very low customer review. People come here when they're upset, right? But how you actually get a good Better Business Bureau rating is by how the company responds to that person, how they actually help the person. And so in this case, we've got, in the last 12 months, we've got 41 complaints closed against Fisker. And this is an F, and we can look at some of these, and you can see all kinds of different things here. I would invite you to look at these yourself to get more details. But there's something I wanted to show here. We've got 47 complaints. None of these are being responded to. Unanswered, problems with product, unanswered, right? You could think maybe this person, or maybe Fisker just doesn't see these, but that's not actually true, because they did respond to these at one point. Now, some of these are getting resolved because eventually their car got delivered or something, right? Something ended up happening, like this person is talking about a deposit. It can resolve itself naturally offline. Fisker is doing some customer support, but they are completely ignoring these. Now, the way the BBB works is the BBB actually reaches out to Fisker multiple times in any given complaint and says, hey, you still have this as an issue. You still have this as an issue. Why are you not responding? So here you go. You've actually have one here. This is in December. They did respond to somebody. And the funny part about this is this tells you, yes, they are actually looking at this. They are choosing to ignore it. I don't know why, but that's exactly what I can see from this. So they deserve the F. They're choosing to have the F, and I don't know why. Okay, how about other channels? Like, let's just look at Facebook, right? They're actually very active on Facebook. Some of Fisker's best customer support actually came from Facebook. When they were getting railed by everyone saying, hey, no one's responding, some of their admins or some of their employees jumped on Facebook and started responding to people. It was actually the best step Fisker took during my short time with this product in responding to people and helping with like tracking and stuff like that. But let's look at them here, right? So you can click on this company, you can go to it. It's right on Facebook. You can see 75,000 likes, 91,000 followers. All right, you also have this rating, 4.5, right? 4.5 out of 5. I would look at that and say that's very good, right? Let's look at it. Very good. Okay, ignore some of these people. That's me. However, when you start looking at this, you start seeing the people that recommend it versus the people that don't. Like myself, I'm on here. You'll see my rant. When you see the people that recommend it, there's a very interesting trend. And I'm not accusing anyone of anything here, but they're not real. These are all spams. So anyone basically saying, not anyone, you'll see in a sec, the amount of people that are recommending Fisker are actually just bots. These are fake spams. They're all trying to get you to go offline for some bullshit scam. So here you go, got someone that doesn't recommend Fisker, valid reason. This person recommends it, fake bullshit. This person doesn't recommend it, real. Recommends it, fake bullshit. Recommends it, bullshit. Recommends it, bullshit, right? This one here, recommendations, real. Real review. Thank you, person. You're actually real. Recommends Fisker, bullshit. What is this? What is this? Who lets this kind of review be on your account? Delete these, dudes. This is fake. This is garbage. Not only that, but anyone that clicks on here is actually clicking into scams. As you scroll down and look at some of these things, you've got links to this weird doctor account. Here's the stock owner, doesn't recommend. But anyway, you'll get the point when you see this. Love spell, what the hell? Marriage spells? Guys, who's running this company? Now, let me give you a breakdown of, I went through all of these. Don't worry about having to do this. I gave you the actual counts of this. Let's take a look at what that actually looks like. Okay, so after I filter through the trash, 70% of their reviews on Facebook, this is just Facebook, are fake. Right, with a drastically lower amount that actually are recommending this brand through social channels, and a substantially higher amount not recommending it. And here's the breakdown of just the real people. Recommend versus not recommend. It would make sense to keep those bots on there because they make you look better. Anyone interested in Fisker has probably already seen a viral video by a tech reviewer stating that Fisker is possibly the worst car he's ever reviewed. Though Fisker does not respond to a single customer on the BBB, and it doesn't seem that they care too much, their channels are flooded with fake reviews, they do certainly care that an influencer talked unnice of them. According to Fiskerati, Fisker immediately replied to autofocus with the following statement, essentially saying that his review was unfair because it wasn't the best version of the car, the most up-to-date, which hasn't released yet, version of the car, and that he should re-review it when that new 2.0 fix every issue with the entire company is released. So my impression here, mainly my literal experience, is that they have a very low priority to assist customers with legitimate concerns and more of a priority to assist the, quote, could-be customers with impressions. And finally, the brand has been continually getting in trouble with the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange, and the NHTSA, failing to file their quarterly reports on time with the SEC. They got a notice from the NYSE just very recently of a pending delisting as their stock is staying below $1. Isn't that a penny stock at that point? The other thing they have is the NHTSA investigation into braking issues. Right, they had a braking issue. This came up like just a month ago, and then within a month, they've got another issue with the NHTSA regarding complaints of vehicle rollaway. So, I mean, they've got a lot of stuff going on that just doesn't feel right. And then there's Henrik, the CEO and face of the brand. And I'm going to keep this section a little brief because it's not that important, but it did rub me the wrong way. Outside of his name, you'll see that his name's on the car, 14 times. But he's also the voice behind any real announcements or statements for the car. He's been very vocal in the production of the car, leading up to it, attending the actual manufacturing plants, all of these kind of things. He would reply to messages, he was interacting with people, all of this stuff for the last few years, ever since his first announcement that I remember in Southern California. Well, about 5 months ago, he made this like really just awful taste, condescending post about how his active brand buyers, like his customers, people started receiving their cars, and the people funding him, right, funding his project, funding his entire company, and trusting him should just cool off, he said, by comparing the purchase of a $70,000 car to that of an iPad, a $500 iPad. Basically saying that, I have to reboot my iPad. You should just reboot your Fisker and get over with it. Get over it. Don't message the CEO, kind of thing, right? Jesus. Anyway, he went on to argue with people in his comments about this. Like anyone that was commenting on it, he would argue with them. Like, you can go see this. I don't need to actually show you this. I do have screenshots of it. I don't care to show it. Just go look for yourself. But the point is, it doesn't matter how much you like the car or dislike the car. You can't think this kind of behavior isn't in poor taste. Now, the reason I bring this up is that Henrik was very vocal. He was interacting with people. Even on other posts, people were talking about like the weight of the car, and he's arguing with them there, go make your own car, kind of thing. But the main point is that his comments and his posts came to a stop. And this is on LinkedIn. He stopped responding to people. He stopped posting. Go look. All of his posts on things like LinkedIn. Now, a lot of this could be that his PR team is like, Henrik, what the F are you doing? And kind of caught him, fixed it, and now they've gone back and edited his dumbass mistakes and fixed them because he's out there making a just fool of himself, especially to his investors. But it's just interesting. He stopped responding. This all started. He was very vocal, in the early fall, and then it just kind of stopped. So go take a look. Different tone, different actions. I know they're under a lot of pressure and whatever else. He also mentioned, I think his most recent post was something about it's unfair. It's unfair what people are calling my car. Basically saying it's all of our feedback on the car is not fair to him. Saying the car sucks, whatever else. All of the reviews, the sentiment, and that the stock price wasn't fair. At that time, the stock price was $1.50. He said it was unfair. It's worth way, way more. Well, now it's 50 cents. So it's a third that. So it kept coming down. Again, he's kind of disappeared. I just don't know why, unless it literally is just to keep him in check. I'd say this is the most important subject for me here and my decision to drop this car. Let's talk about a simple saying. It's called hide the ball. Now, this saying can relate to a cup game where usually a magician or some con man has 3 cups. You see them on some table on the street, right? The cups are sitting upside down on a table. He shows you a ball. The ball is placed under one of the cups, at which point the man says, places a bet, like bets you that he can shuffle the cups and you won't be able to pick which one the cup is under, right? He's gauging his entire bet on your eyes and your ability to follow the progress of where he's moved the cup. Well, the game is rigged because the ball is never actually under a cup. So no matter which one you choose, you're wrong. Or he's holding it somehow in a cup, some kind of manipulation to prevent the cup from ever being correct that you pick. See, the ball is simply under another cup or, whatever else. Anyway, he'll state it was there the entire time. Now, this saying also has to do with football quarterbacks pretending to get rid of the ball after it's hiked, only to hide it and trick the defense, basically long enough to get a good play out. Okay, so what does this have to do with anything? Well, that expression also refers to a legal statement that means to withhold evidence that may hurt one's case. And I want to take a moment and say that I am not a legal advisor. I am not offering legal advice here, nor am I claiming that there's a malicious legal plot here. What I will say is that there's a lemon law that protects consumers when they purchase bad or faulty automobiles. Now, that law is called the lemon law. And depending on your state, different stipulations exist for how or when that law can be invoked. In the state I'm in, these are the lemon law requirements. The vehicle must be purchased in the state of Utah. That's fine, even if it's from California. I bought it here. The vehicle must be new and under warranty. Yep, that checks out. The vehicle must be a car or truck. Yeah, got it. The defect must be must substantially impair the use, market value, or safety of the vehicle. Okay, I think I've got those. And then this one. The vehicle must have been in repair for the same defect at least 4 times or out of service to the consumer a total of 30 days in either 1 year or the warranty period, whichever is less. The rest don't matter as much. This one is pretty similar across most states. Some states are only 3 strikes, but this one's kind of the key point to pay attention to. So 4 documented repairs for one issue, a single issue, right? Or a car logged as being out of commission for 30 plus days. Well, I know of many Fisker customers that have cases that match this, where the battery's been dead for days. I've seen one case where a person's had a car dead in their driveway for a month. Now, these are all just posts online, but there's a lot of them. So I'm wondering, why aren't we seeing the lemon law successfully trigger for anyone? Well, let's keep going. This is just a snapshot of the emails I've sent to support@fiskerinc.com. This does not include ones I've sent directly to Henrik, even though he smugly told me to just enjoy my broken iPad and cool off. It also doesn't include the ones that I had sent to the title team when I was having problems getting registration info, or my phone calls, or my chats, and outside emails of things such as like this "we owe you" document that Fisker signed and sent to me saying they'll refund me in 90 days for items I never received. Well, it's been 180, I still don't have that refund. I ask for this every single week. Back to my emails. Focus on these ones. These are the ones they generated cases to or replied to, with the last one being October 16th, roughly 30 days after I received the car. They stopped replying after that, though, until, as I mentioned earlier, I mailed a certified letter in December that got me a direct phone call and finally set me up with a tech. So no emails were ever replied to after that date, but they were definitely closing them out, as seen by all of these surveys that I suddenly got sent out a few days after each contact. This includes phone calls, chats, and email. So I'd get a survey, I wouldn't get a response. They were asking me how I liked my service. I never got it. I never talked to anybody. So this is really confusing. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, the service tech has come out to my house 3 times, from late December to late January. 4 times, including one just to get it ready for the car, ready for the version 2.0 update. Each time he ran an update on the software on the car. He said some of the car issues may be fixed by this, some may not. He would only ever be able to say this might help, things kind of like that, and leave as the update was finishing, even in one case. I actually felt a little bad for the tech because it almost sounded like they have to convince the engineers that there's a problem with any given car. He told me he was going back and forth with the engineers who didn't believe them about one of my issues that was broken since delivery. But in my case, we had to do numerous pictures, recordings, etc., even after direct site visits to try and convince them it was broken. So through each visit, there was no record of work shared with me, no repair orders. Even when asked, the car never left my property to have an attempted shop repair. When I first got my car back in September, I was getting case numbers as a report issues, though no case resolution. But now I don't even get those. Without a repair or work order, I have no proof that any attempt attempt was conducted outside of regular maintenance, basic software updates. Fisker hasn't failed in this regard because they haven't even tried. This leaves a door open for Fisker, as needed, to hypothetically say something along the lines of, quote, "We didn't know that issue existed," or something like, "Yeah, we haven't even had a chance to fix it yet," as well as, "We have no actual repair orders logged for that event," or "The customer didn't report it to us or give us time to repair it." So in other words, I don't have a single one of the 4 required repair attempts, and I never will to meet the warranty deadline, considering that none have happened in 6 months, despite constant requests and escalations. And even though these same issues have persisted through the entire duration of ownership. So hide the ball and shuffle the cups. The ball is a strike against a lemon law, and in this case it's continually hidden to prevent it from counting. If this sounds bogus, start asking for a work order printout from Fisker as they come service your vehicle, or attend to the cases you've opened, specifically one stating the outcome of the work completed, success or failure. As they did with me, I'm pretty sure they will stop responding and keep it entirely offline. And Fisker is not the only company showing similar behaviors to this. Anytime something as valuable as a vehicle is purchased solely online, direct to consumer, it's subject to this like hide the ball kind of service tactic, right? It offers an easy solution for companies to avoid lemon laws while feigning attentive service. Think about other EV makers out there that do direct to consumer deliveries. There's only a handful. Go look some up and see what kind of problems consumers face. I'll spoil it and just show you. F rating, right? F rating. In these 2 examples, low customer reviews and an F by the BBB. Now, compare these to literally any dealership in town selling new EVs and the way they resolve complaints. I'll spoil this with 3 quick ones from my area. Here's Ken Garf, A+. Customer complaints, they still come in. They've got a lot of complaints coming in. They're A+. Larry H. Miller, A+. Low customer reviews, right? Low customer reviews, they're still an A+ because they're responding. Mark Miller Subaru, A+. Low amount of complaints, but they do have negative customer reviews, still an A+ because they handle it. So these local dealers take on a massive responsibility and ownership of your car's warranty. Though they may also get complaints and get lower customer reviews, they can't ignore the Better Business Bureau like these direct-to-consumer EV companies can, and their accredited ratings show this. It's their willingness to resolve a customer issue that earns a higher score. They're also directly subject to local lemon laws, as any repair takes place on premises and has an attached work order. I really can't imagine Fisker ever being anything but an F on here. Surprisingly, Lucid, who also only sells EVs and only direct-to-consumer, holds an A+, responding to every single complaint that surfaces. So yes, companies can do it. They're just choosing not to. So in closing, and to the crux and point of this video, why I'm already done with this car. Well, it's simple. I'm tired of dealing with my faulty, gimmick-ridden Fisker Ocean, and I have zero trust in any aspect of the brand. I'm tired of being stuck outside my car with 500 miles from home in a Sam's Club Electrify America parking lot. I'm tired of screen crashes, brake failures, warning lights, key fob issues, design flaws. I'm tired of every issue being something that will have some resolution implemented later. Some loyal Fisker fans give people a hard time for being vocal about disliking this car, claiming these problems are not legitimate, that we just don't get the car, that we never had the car, that we're attempting stock manipulation, that we've been bitter since we got it. All of these things, right? The comments in this video will show this exact thing. And I get it. They want to justify their purchase because the stark white light of clarity is very hard to adjust to, and I don't blame them. Like the car all you want. Love the car all you want. I love that people still do like this because some people got a better car. But to just say I was just disliked this car is a massive understatement. In the beginning, I was very stoked on it. I've got proof of that with videos I've uploaded. Even with it arriving in a completely shit condition. And with the automotive world's worst, most embarrassing key fob, talk about that awkward moment you have outside your car in the pouring rain. You will have it, or you have already had it. Your significant other is standing there getting pelted by rain, looking at you confused. People are walking up near you, unlocking and getting into their Kias, their Fords, their Subarus. You're in a grocery store parking lot. They're all looking at you wondering why you're standing there like an asshat getting drenched, awkwardly spamming your key fob unlock button next to this brand new beautiful looking machine. You stare off into the distance like you've seen something amazing, still tapping unlock, feigning that this machine operates normal. And it is actually a good car. Tapping unlock, because you also want to believe it is. One more tap. The doors finally click unlocked and you can relax again. Even though you're soaked, you may whisper thank you to this temperamental child machina, hoping it rewards you in the future by responding faster. And as the new buyer fog wears off, you start finding more and more broken or missing features, as well as seeing other buyers online facing a suite of issues you hope never happen to you. Luckily, maybe they haven't. And you're identifying fundamental design issues that simple over-the-air updates could never resolve. And start grasping the realization of how this company treats customers throughout the order, delivery, and follow-up, how this company responds to other people publicly claiming to already be working on it with you or that it's not fair to rate it yet, and that even the CEO knocks and argues with his own consumer and investor base that were legitimately concerned with the brand just before going silent, and how I can only assume I will be as you can assume you will be, just strung along through many future repair issues in a preventative lemon law game of hide the ball that we're reluctantly forced into. I understood it was time to take my loss and trade this thing in. I have owned brand new BMWs, I've pre-ordered multiple new cars from Subaru, Chevy, even brand new Class A motorhomes. These are subject to more recalls and warranty issues than anything you could ever imagine. I've owned old used Mazdas, Astrovans, Hyundais, and none of these have ever been as bad as owning this Fisker Ocean One. When a car reviewer out there with a trustworthy review track record says it's the worst car he's ever reviewed, even in its current form, yes, he's absolutely right. Even if he didn't know the glove box is under the seat for some reason and that the unmarked button makes the center screen rotate, they sold this car in this form, and this form is awful. It has been the entire 5 months I've owned it. Don't mistake a fast acceleration for a good car. Their customer service is remarkably even worse. And if you are wanting to buy an Ocean, I'm not telling you not to. However, I would say that you should be able to snag a really good deal on a used one, if that's the stress you're willing to take. By the way, oddly enough, as I'm making this video and no longer have the car, I literally don't have the car anymore. I got a message from my tech saying he has a new part, some like Hydra cable he wants to attempt installing for my proximity sensors that have been broken since day one. This is hilarious, just the timing of it. This would be the first actual repair where he took the car away from my house, if it wasn't 6 months late. P.S. The stock was over $6 back in October, right around the time all of my messages stopped getting responses. It has dropped 90% since then. Is there a correlation here with something internally collapsing at Fisker Inc. around that time? Or is their stock just suffering from an unexplained incremental phantom drain? Who knows, maybe they can fix it in the next update. So thank you so much for watching. That is my video. This is my experience with the car. As you can tell, as I've said multiple times, I didn't like it, and I'm not telling you not to buy one, and I'm not telling you not to like it. You definitely can find things appealing about the car. Acceleration's very fast, the seats are nice and comfortable. You know, it's got a decent range. The charging is a little gimmicky. The actual output on the range is gimmicky. But you know what? Some people find things about it that they really appreciate. So more power to you. Love it if you love it. Hate it if you want. Thanks for watching.